Hello and welcome. I want to talk a little bit about metacurrency and how it's used. So metacurrencies are abstract resources within TTRPGs that players can use to influence the game beyond the capability of their characters. They often represent a player's narrative control or a character's luck and can be used to modify dice rolls, introduce story elements, or kind of provide temporary abilities. Some games use metacurrencies as rewards for role-playing, so completing objectives or overcoming obstacles. Others allow for metacurrency accumulation through in-game actions or as a result of character traits or abilities. Overall, the idea is that metacurrencies add a layer of strategy and engagement to TTRPGs and hopefully provide kind of dynamic and memorable gameplay experiences. When players have access to metacurrencies, they often find themselves weighing the potential benefits and the consequences of using them in various situations. This supposedly adds layers of decision-making and encourages players to think more critically about their actions and the narrative possibilities within the game. So, for example, if a player knows they have the ability to re-roll a critical failure or introduce a plot twist, they may take more calculated risks or make bolder choices than they would otherwise. So metacurrencies can also foster a sense of empowerment and collaboration, as players can use them to support their teammates, they can enhance storytelling, and they can contribute to the overall success of the group. So some examples of metacurrencies in some role-playing games are, of course, the obvious one is inspiration in Dungeons & Dragons, and players earn inspiration for exceptional role-playing, for creative solutions, or adhering to their character's traits. It can be used to gain advantage on a roll, essentially allowing the players to roll the d20 twice and choose the highest result. In Fate system, there are fate points. These allow players to invoke aspects of their characters or the environment to gain bonuses. They can reroll dice or introduce narrative elements. These can be earned by accepting complications in the play or playing up their character's flaws. In Pathfinder, there's hero points. Hero points are awarded for heroic deeds, role-playing, or completing significant objectives. They can be spent to re-roll a dice roll or avoid death or gain an additional action during a turn. In Savage Worlds, there are bennies, which are short for benefits. These can be used to re-roll dice. They can soak damage or influence the story. And players earn bennies through role-playing, again through completing objectives or through entertaining the group. And drama points as well in the cinematic uni system. These are used in games like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Drama points allow players to modify dice rolls, survive near-death situations, or influence the narrative. These are awarded for role-playing moments or for overcoming challenges. So there's a whole variety of different metacurrencies that people can use. In the game that I'm making, there are two metacurrencies, which is really just one, but earned in two different ways. One is experience, and the other one is stress. So stress is gained when a character gets damage in conflict, whether physical, emotional, or mental, and also whenever they use a motivational work or a spiritual gift. They gain a point of stress according to whatever attribute it sits in. Mental and emotional conflict is handled exactly the same as physical conflict, with the same method of winning and of taking stress. I've talked about that in a previous video. Players gain 1 experience point every time they fail a roll. So they roll 5 or under when they're not in conflict. So either they're rolling for a talent or when rolling for a spiritual gift and they fail, they get 1 experience point. In addition, every time a player profoundly succeeds, that is, they roll over 16, they also gain 1 experience. Similarly, experience points gained when failing or succeeding in a spiritual gift only apply to that specific gift. Experience points can also be given to other players in order to help them and can be spent by other players, but then they are lost by the original player. So which is different from stress, which can't be given, can't be traded. However, what you can do with both currencies is the same. Both experience and stress can be spent by a player to add to the player's roll, but only for a talent in the same attribute that they came from. So if they're rolling for physical, they have to have experience points already stored up in there if they want to use them, or they're taking stress, they're adding stress from their physical attribute to add to that roll of strength or dexterity or agility. So one of the key differences between the two currencies of stress and experience is that experience is used for leveling up a character. So in this game, leveling up means a character increases their ability in both talents, but also in giftings and spiritual giftings. The more a person uses a particular skill or set of skills, the better they will be at them, and the easier it will be to use them. The easier it will be to get higher points in them and do better at them. So in this game, the levels are called pathways, and there are 9 of them. These follow the fruit of the Spirit as described in Galatians. So there's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. Characters level by using the experience points that they have stored, that they have kept and not used during the game, and they can be used between sessions when they can be spent to level up along a particular pathway. So there is a decision that players need to make whether they want to use the experience points during the game to help their dice rolls and possibly give them away to other people, or whether they want to keep them and use them for themselves to level up in. So that's another moral choice that the players can make in terms of actually influencing their own increase as a character. So the pathways look like this. So you can see that there are 9 different talents there, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional, and each one has got a pathway. So there, from the left, it says love, joy, peace, self-control, faithfulness, goodness, gentleness, kindness, and patience. So the pathways allow the players to add additional points permanently to chosen talents and also to gifts. Players spend 3 experience points to move 1 step along a pathway and take that skill increase. The first step is a 1-point increase in a talent, permanent increase, and the next step is a 2-point increase in a spiritual gift, making it easier to gain a good result. In addition, there are 3, if you notice down the bottom, 3 physical pathways that don't lead to additional gifts, but just an increase in physical talents, which players can also go for. Completing a pathway, so doing both steps, the talent and the gift, means gaining both those increases. And once the player has finished both steps in a single pathway, that pathway is complete, then they can spend another 3 experience points to repeat either one of those steps again and claim either an additional single point increase in that talent area or another additional 2 points in that gift. But they have to complete the whole pathway first. One thing also to keep in mind is that players only have a total of 8 steps, meaning there are only 8 times they can choose an increase. So players need to choose wisely depending on how they want their character to progress. So if you notice in the character sheet, just below the motivation section, there is an area to fill in called the callings. When a character is first created, the player fills in the first part of the callings with their chosen calling, which is apostolic, prophetic, evangelistic, pastoral, or teaching. Next to the callings are 8 circles. For every step that a character takes in a pathway, the player should fill in 1 circle. This means that, as I said before, each character only has a maximum of 8 steps along any pathway, including repeating a pathway they've done before and getting the additional points. That also counts as a step. In addition, after filling in the 4th step or the full circle, the player can add an additional calling, not the same one, giving the character 2 in total. So the 2nd calling includes the additional points for the subsequent talents, which is a feature of the calling, as well as each calling provides additional points to 3 of the giftings as well. I hope that made sense. If you're interested in following more about this project I'm doing, which is a Christian tabletop role-playing game, hence the Bible verses, feel free to have a look at some of the other videos on this channel. Otherwise, give me a like and subscribe if you're interested to follow the journey. And thank you very much for watching.